All right, so a little bit of a different type of content here today, because I just want to try something new. Also, I want to talk about something that's kind of bothering me, and so let's dive into it. A couple days ago, it depends on when I upload this video, a 6-year update on Airbnb works to find discrimination was an article published by Airbnb. And obviously, the news articles have picked this up and wrote about it. So let's check those out. The first one is CBS. The headline states Airbnb study finds people have more trouble booking stays if hosts think they are black. Terrible, right? Okay, so let's just look at another one. CNN. The headline states Airbnb finds people have more trouble booking stays if host thinks they are black. So the exact same headline. I mean, did they just copy paste this from one another? Pretty sure they did. But again, you can see the framing here, the narrative forming. So let's look at New York Times this time. And the headline states black travelers say home share hosts discriminate in a new Airbnb report agrees. So kind of interesting. They took the time to collect anecdotal evidence and testimonies and then kind of back it up with the Airbnb reports or the other way around. Which is interesting because it doesn't seem like they spent the time to actually go through the entire report. They just took a couple stats. Anyways, let's look at another one. Business Insider. Black Airbnb users have found it harder to book stays than white users. Company research shows. So they're all saying this. That means it must be a big deal, right? I mean, if you're just reading the headline, you must be thinking like, wow, are most black users unable to book anything on Airbnb? And there must be a huge difference as well, right, between that racial group and other ones. Okay, so let's go check it out. Scroll down a little bit here. To Business Insider's credit, they actually states the number just below the fold in a bulleted list, and it's bolded. And it states, the study found that black users had a success rate of 91.4%. compared with 94.1 for white. I'm for white users. I'm laughing because it's like above 90%, and if you take a test, you get 90%. That is like good, unless I guess if you're an Asian, then that's not. Anyways, so more than 90%, overwhelming majority are approved. On top of that, the differential is less than 3%. It's around 2.7. Not a big deal, but I guess if talking about entire reservations, then there must be a lot of numbers. I mean, a lot of people, right? And they actually, where is that? They actually stated that here. So, well, not exactly the absolute number, but now here it states that the sample size is 750,000, which is obviously nowhere near the number of reservations that happens on Airbnb. And they also state that in 2022, around 4,000 accounts worldwide have been removed for violating the non-discrimination policy. Right? So, okay, interesting. And they also stated, at least for Business Insider, they stated that for Asians, Latino, or Hispanic, the success rate is 93.4%. So Business Insider, to their credit, has actually given you more information compared to the other news outlets, CNN, New York Times, and CBS, like the ones we're looking at. And I think there's a reason for that, right? So, but let's park that for now. Back to this one. So it seems like Asians, Latinos, Hispanic, it falls in between the white group and the black group. So but a little bit closer to the white group. Is that all the groupings that's available? Well, no, there are at least one more, and which is interestingly enough not shown anywhere here. You have to go back to the Airbnb's article, right? And if you scroll down, we can see the a bar graph with the title "Booking Success Rate by Perceived Race in 2021." So here's the breakdown of the racial groups. And then we see the fifth category, other/unknown, at 93.2%, a little bit closer to the whites, and than it is to the blacks. So it's interesting, right? So if your hypothesis is that the disparity between the racial groups being able to successfully book is low for a certain group because of racial discrimination, then how do you account for this category where the race is other or unknown, right? Like, what would you think that number ought to be? I mean, if a host is racist and they don't know what the racial background of the guest, would they approve the booking or not? Right? Like, so this category kind of disagree with that hypothesis of racial discrimination. All right, so let's kind of step back a little bit here. In Airbnb, there's two ways to book. The request to book, and then the other one is Instabook. And so they describe that here. Instabook, a feature that allows guests to book a listing without requiring hosts to approve a reservation request, is an important tool to reduce discrimination, right? Because when you book using Instabook, you get approved automatically. It doesn't allow the host to reject the reservation, right? Or the booking. I mean, okay, that's interesting. And then they also state that more reviews for more guests. Okay, good. I mean, having more reviews is good. Yeah, I like seeing reviews on products I want to buy. So they state that guests who have reviews are more likely to successfully book a listing than guests without reviews. Pretty obvious. If you're going to a restaurant, would you be more inclined to go to one that has good reviews or no reviews or bad reviews, right? If you're shopping on Amazon, do you not look at reviews? I mean, the answer is pretty obvious. So further, they state that our analysis found that guests perceived to be Black or Latino have fewer reviews than guests perceived to be white or Asian. Now, here's a very intriguing statement. I do have a few questions. One, what are the numbers? What's the breakdown? Like, why lump them up, a couple of them together, like Black or Latinos and then whites or Asians? Like, where's the graph for this? I mean, you have the data. I assume you would, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to make the statement. But, well, how come you're not showing that data? And to see that information, actually you won't see that information, but to see some additional information, you have to go into the report, right? Which is you can do by clicking on this link below here. And then you have this PDF, which is not that long, 22 pages. And if you go to page 10, we see the same graphs for the booking success rate by perceived race in 2021. And we scroll to page 11, it talks about the two types of booking, instant book and request book. And then on page 12, there is a breakdown of the use of Instabook versus request book by racial group, right? And this shows that the group that uses the instant book functionality is the Black racial group at 60.7%. The group that uses it the most is the Asian group, which is at 63.2%. Why aren't they using this feature, that is Instabook, as much as the other racial group? Okay, so if you look at the description for Instabook, there are two requirements. The guest must provide a government ID. Kind of makes sense, right? If you're renting something, yeah, like a car, a tool from Home Depot or whatever, you have to show a driver's license or something equivalent. The other requirement here is that guests are required to have the host recommended label or designation, which means that the guests have to have at least one review, and the reviews have to be positive. Okay, fair enough, right? I mean, if you're a host and you don't get to look at who's booking, and you don't get to approve or disapprove the booking, then you would want the system to vet the guests, right? And this is one way of doing it, by looking at their history. You don't want someone who was like a 1-star be able to automatically get approved to book your house or whatever. So that's a fair requirement. And then, interestingly enough, analysis found that a large percentage of guests perceived to be Black or Latino are first-time users of the platform. Interesting, right? Because on their article, Airbnb's article, they state that these same groups have fewer reviews. Technically correct. If you are a new user, then you have no reviews. So a bunch of users that are new don't have reviews, and they happen to be Black or Latino / Hispanic. So why did they change that? Why did they take this statement that's talking about first-time user, which is more specific than a more generic statement that just users with less reviews? Why did they do that? And why did they group the racial groups together, like Black and Latino / Hispanic? Now, you can see now what's happening. It's because the data that they're getting kind of disprove the hypothesis that the disparity is being caused by racial discrimination. So really, and it's more favor of the other hypothesis, which is people, in this case hosts, are discriminated against people that have no reviews or have bad reviews, right? Which makes sense. When you're buying something on Amazon, do you not discriminate against products that have poor or no reviews? Are you willing to take that risk? No, of course not. And you shouldn't have to. If you don't want to, that is. Right? If you want to, fine. You're free to do so. Anyways. And so that kind of leads to the another questions. Where's the data set that shows the average review of guests by racial group? Where is it? I would imagine, actually, I don't have to imagine, that the review affects the booking success rate, right? Like, because their data shows if you don't have reviews, you're probably not going to get approved. So if you have if you have bad reviews, you're not going to get approve as much as people who have good reviews. Yeah, so pretty important piece of information that we're not seeing. And why is that? Is it because they've been working at this for 6 years, trying to solve a problem of disparity, but the disparity is not caused by something that they're trying to eliminate, because it actually doesn't exist. In this case, racial discrimination. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. There are racist people out there, right? But this report doesn't show that racist people have been are the cause of the racial disparity of bookings. So why are they doing this? And so we go back to Airbnb's page here. If you scroll down, and you see this article related story, the title, what are they saying about Airbnb's 6-year anti-discrimination update? So they're like, Airbnb is like, oh, look, they're talking about us, right? So really, what it seems like to me, it's a big virtue signal. That's it. It's that simple. Airbnb states that, oh, look, there's racism, and this is what we're doing to fix it. Hooray! Anyways, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of bothers me that this is happening. That they are kind of enforcing the idea that like there's a bunch of races out there. I mean, there are, but I wouldn't think there are a lot. And their data doesn't show like it's like this disparity is being caused by racism. Kind of reminds me of a quote from Morgan Freeman when he was talking to, was it Mike Wallace? And Mike Wallace was asking him like, oh, how do we solve racism? And Morgan Freeman said, stop talking about it. But all you see with this articles is always talking about racism, not about race. Talking about race nonstop. And when you talk about race, you probably foster more racism because you're making people more resentful, right? And since they feel like they are the victim of racism, they might become racist back again, like, fight fire with fire. Not saying that happens to everyone. I'm saying that probably happens quite a lot. Anyways, it's kind of depressing, and it's been bothering me to see this. It just, I don't know. Anyways, I know it's a kind of a downer type of content. Don't worry, I'm gonna be posting about toys again. So yeah, come back for that, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, and Merry Christmas.